Welcome to the fourth in a four-part video series that discusses the features and benefits of owning an Energy Star home. My name is Shaun Cummings, and I produce these videos to help potential homeowners realize the energy efficiencies and cost savings that are available in the methods used to construct an Energy Star home. As you watch these videos, you'll see three participants. On the left is Dan Niemi of River Rock Construction. In the middle is Dave Tucker of D&D Custom Homes. And on the right is Jack Cowan of Cowan House. And occasionally you'll hear me from behind the camera. Recently, Danny and Dave combined resources and they're building Energy Star homes in Brighton, Tennessee. The name of the subdivision is Hunter's Hollow. These videos were recorded at the model home in that subdivision. You can reach Danny Niemi, River Rock Construction, Dave Tucker, and D&D Custom Homes on Facebook. Jack Cowan is an energy rater. He acts as a third-party verifier for Energy Star, meaning that he goes into the home and verifies all of the Energy Star requirements have been met. You can reach Jack Cowan at www.cowanhouse.com. The fourth video begins with the participants discussing the benefits of an Energy Star home. I hope you enjoy the video.
What does the customer get from all that stuff? Well, the customer gets reduced cost, period. The customer gets increased comfort. There's a lot of things, and there's too much detail to go into, but Danny talked about it briefly about a drafty home or that kind of thing. But it's also important to know that there's things about this home that's set aside that make it just live longer. There should be less maintenance, and because it is an inherently tight home, that just make it more comfortable, more aesthetically pleasing, even quieter than some of the other houses. So it goes on and on.
I remember we did that first house, Jack, and you brought in this thermal bypass checklist. I mean, there were sleepless nights trying to figure out how we were going to make this work.
Yeah.
We had to go back. We had to talk to all of our subs. We had to educate them to the new way that we were going to build this house. And at that point, it was just this house for that one specific customer. And I mean, literally, we didn't know how to do it. I mean, there were so many things, and of course we figured it out. And now I'll walk through another house under construction and just shake my head and say, how can they do that? I mean, it just amazes me.
The difference between an Energy Star house and a non-Energy Star house is you might as well just leave the windows open or the door open, because that's the difference. That's the difference between the airflow.
Yeah, and some of those things on the thermal bypass checklist are covered up. So once you get all the homes buttoned up, for example, if you're competing with another builder in the same neighborhood, once you get everything buttoned up and completed, one home looks like another home. But while that build process is going on, and especially now that you know about the thermal bypass checklist, you know that house is different, and you know those people are going to suffer, if that's the right word. They're going to be going to have less of a home forever. For example, an enclosure, a tub enclosure. People have gone into houses over time, and in tub enclosures, man, this is really cold, and it's really cold because there's a lot of thermal transfer taking place there that shouldn't be, and your houses don't do that anymore, do they? So, I mean, just compliance with that thermal bypass checklist assures that that's not going to happen in these houses.
Part of the thermal bypass checklist is that all walls have to be contained on all 6 sides. You've got your bottom plate, your top plate, your 2 studs on the sides, and then your sheathing or sheetrock on the face of it. And if anybody's ever walked in an attic or upstairs in a bonus room, you'll notice that typically you just have your insulation hanging out here. A lot of times it'll be laying on the floor and things like that. But part of the Energy Star requirements is that all of the walls are sheathed, and it serves 2 functions. Basically, it helps to seal it from an air barrier perspective, and it also keeps the insulation in place. And one of the other things is if you notice on top, it's got the band up there, and what that does, that keeps the blown cellulose in as well.
Up here you see this reflective look to it. Looks like aluminum foil, but that's actually a radiant bearing decking. It's 4x8 material, and that's what's used to reflect the heat back out.
It'll keep your attic 20 to 30 degrees cooler in the summertime. There's a requirement to use a certain Energy Star products. You have to choose between the Energy Star products that you use, and we choose to go ahead and use several that we don't really have to. We use the upgraded heating and cooling system, the radiant barrier, and then like we were talking about earlier with the windows, we use the high performance windows as well.
Some of the things aren't necessarily, a requirement for Energy Star, but when you see, where this sole plate fits on the slab or on the floor here, that's a key point for air sealing, and they talked about that, but also the window is key, and I think we talked about, radiant barrier, but back here, a couple things. This exterior is sheeted, this wrap, and this flashing. It's pretty important, not so much for us, but for the longevity of the house, is that this is a drainage plan. And so I don't care what kind of building it is, even if it's a brick veneer building, pressures will drive vapor through that, and it'll ultimately end up on this wall. And also, you'll have condensation that will end up on this wall between the brick and the wall. There's an airspace. And so you'll have condensation and or moisture actually driven by vapor pressures, and it'll hit that surface. So the way they've done this is exactly right, and their flashing is exactly right, so that all that moisture, instead of soaking into that wood or eventually ending up in the house, it's going to hit this surface, and it has a drainage plane, and so it'll ultimately end out down the bottom and run out. So that's a good point, not necessarily an Energy Star feature, but it goes a long way toward making it a better home and be longer lived.